By his mother's advice, the husband took his dying wife far away, into a forgotten corner of the country where roads disappeared and silence pressed on the ears. He told everyone it was for her health, that fresh air and peace might give her strength. In truth, he was running from hospitals, from doctors' questions, from the constant reminder that the woman beside him was fading, and that her inheritance papers were already signed. The place he chose was a small, almost abandoned village surrounded by dense forest. Only a few old houses stood there, leaning as if tired of time itself. No phone signal, no proper medical care, no curious neighbors. His mother had called it the perfect place to wait. She spoke calmly, practically, as if discussing storage for old furniture, not a human life. "She will be calmer there," she said, "and you won't waste money on useless treatments." The wife, Anna, understood more than they thought. Her body was weak, but her mind was clear. She saw how her husband avoided her eyes, how his kindness felt rehearsed, like lines memorized for a role. Still, she agreed to go. Not because she trusted him, but because something inside her wanted distance, from pity, from fake hope, from the cold calculations whispered behind closed doors. The first weeks in the village were hard. The house smelled of damp wood and loneliness. At night, the wind howled through cracks in the walls, and Anna lay awake listening to her own breathing. Her husband grew impatient quickly. He complained about the road, about the lack of comfort, about having to cook and fetch water. Each morning he checked his phone for messages that never came, each evening he stared at the darkness with irritation. Then, one day, he left. He said he needed to return to the city for work, that it would only be for a few days. He promised to send money, to come back soon. Anna watched his car disappear into the trees and felt a strange calm settle over her. She was alone now, truly alone, but also free from pretending. Days turned into weeks. No calls, no messages, no money. At first, fear crept in quietly. But the village was not as empty as it seemed. An elderly woman lived 2 houses away. She brought Anna soup, herbs, stories from a life filled with loss and resilience. A former schoolteacher stopped by with books. A man who kept bees offered honey in exchange for conversation. Slowly, a fragile routine formed. Anna began to change. Without the constant stress, without the feeling of being a burden, her strength returned in small, almost invisible steps. She walked a little farther each day. She learned which herbs helped her sleep, which teas eased her pain. The old woman taught her how to listen to her body, not fight it in anger, but support it with patience. Months passed, and the sickness that had once defined her days loosened its grip. Winter came, harsh and unforgiving. Anna survived it. Spring followed, bright and unexpected. She survived that too. A year passed. In the city, the husband lived as if his wife were already gone. His mother often reminded him that time was passing, that papers needed to be collected, that assets could not manage themselves. Finally, confident that everything was over, he returned to the village. He imagined an empty house, a sad task, and then closure. He even practiced a look of grief in the mirror. What he found instead shattered him. Anna opened the door herself. Thinner, yes, but standing. Alive. Her eyes were clear, her posture steady. The house behind her looked different too, cleaner, warmer, lived in. Flowers bloomed near the porch. The air carried the scent of herbs and wood smoke. He could not speak. She invited him in politely, like a guest. Over tea, she told him about the year he missed. About the people who helped her. About the strength she found when she was left with nothing but herself. She did not accuse him. She did not cry. Her calm was sharper than any anger. Then she told him the final truth. While living in isolation, believing she had little time left, Anna had rewritten her will. Everything that once would have been his was donated. To hospitals, to rural clinics, to people who had shown her real compassion. She had kept only enough to live simply and independently. The documents were already filed, legal, irreversible. His mother's plan had worked, just not for them. He left the village in silence, carrying nothing but shame and disbelief. Anna watched him go without triumph. She felt no need for revenge. Survival itself was her answer. The story spread quietly, not as a scandal, but as a reminder. Sometimes the place meant to end someone becomes the place where they begin again. Sometimes abandonment removes the very weight that keeps a person from healing. And sometimes, those who wait for death to bring them reward are forced to face a life that refuses to disappear. Anna stayed in the village. She planted a garden, helped others, and lived with an awareness sharpened by loss. She knew now that life does not always return what was taken, but it can give something far more powerful, clarity. And that clarity, once found, can never be taken away. After the husband drove away, the village did not return to silence the way it once had. Anna felt it immediately, as if the air itself had shifted. The encounter had closed a door she didn't realize was still open. For the first time in years, there was no unfinished sentence in her chest, no waiting for an apology that would never come, no fear of footsteps returning in the night. What remained was a quiet, steady awareness of being fully present in her own life. The neighbors noticed the change too. Anna no longer moved cautiously, as if afraid to disturb the world around her. She laughed more easily. She spoke with confidence, even when discussing painful memories. The elderly woman who had first brought her soup would sometimes sit beside her in the evenings, watching the sunset bleed into the trees. "You're not surviving anymore," she said once. "You're living." Anna smiled, knowing how long it had taken to earn that simple truth. Her health continued to improve, not in dramatic miracles, but in realistic, human ways. Some days were still heavy, her body reminding her of its limits. But now she listened instead of fighting. She rested without guilt. She worked without fear. The balance she found in that remote place was something she had never experienced in the city, where noise drowned out intuition and people confused control with care. Word of her story traveled slowly, carried by visiting relatives, passing travelers, and the occasional journalist who heard rumors of a woman left to die who somehow reclaimed her life. Anna never chased attention. When asked, she told the story plainly, without painting herself as a victim or a hero. "I was given silence," she would say. "And in that silence, I heard myself for the first time." One summer, a small medical outreach group arrived in the village. They were surprised to find Anna already helping organize patients, translating symptoms into practical needs, calming frightened elders with a gentle hand. One of the doctors, a woman with tired eyes and sincere curiosity, asked where Anna had trained. Anna shook her head. "Life trained me," she answered. The doctor laughed, but later admitted there was truth in it. Anna understood illness not as a list of symptoms, but as a lived experience. She was offered a chance to return to the city, to work with organizations that helped patients abandoned by their families. The idea tempted her. For a moment, old memories tugged at her: busy streets, warm apartments, a version of herself that once believed love was proven by endurance. But she declined, not because she was afraid to leave, but because she no longer needed to escape or chase anything. She chose to stay rooted. Meanwhile, her husband's life unraveled quietly, without drama, just as he had hoped Anna's would. The inheritance he counted on never came. His mother grew bitter, blaming him, then the world, then fate itself. Their relationship, once united by calculation, cracked under disappointment. He tried to explain, to justify his actions to friends, but the story sounded uglier each time he told it. Eventually, people stopped listening. At night, he replayed the moment Anna opened the door, alive and calm. That image followed him everywhere. He realized too late that he had mistaken patience for weakness, silence for surrender. The woman he left behind had outgrown him in a year, while he had remained exactly the same. Anna, on the other hand, kept moving forward. She began teaching children from nearby villages how to read and write. Not formally, not with chalkboards and rules, but with stories, questions, and shared curiosity. She told them that knowledge was not a weapon to dominate others, but a light to understand the world and themselves. The children listened because she never spoke down to them. She spoke as if every mind, no matter how young, deserved respect. In autumn, she planted apple trees behind the house. The elderly woman helped her, leaning on a stick, offering advice that contradicted itself but somehow worked. "I may not live to see them fully grown," Anna said, half joking. The old woman shrugged. "Neither might you. That's not the point." Anna understood. The trees were not a promise to herself, but a gift to a future she didn't need to control. Sometimes, late at night, memories returned uninvited. The hospital smell, the way her husband avoided the word, future. His mother's cold smile. But these memories no longer defined her. They were pages in a book she had already read, not sentences she was forced to repeat. Pain lost its power when it was acknowledged and placed in the past. One evening, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a short message from her husband. It contained apologies tangled with excuses, regret mixed with self-pity. He wrote that he finally understood what he had done, that he was lost, that he hoped she could forgive him. Anna read the letter once, slowly, then folded it and placed it in the stove. She watched it burn without anger. Forgiveness, she knew, did not always require reconciliation. Some doors were meant to stay closed, not out of revenge, but out of wisdom. As years passed, Anna became part of the village in a way she never planned. People sought her advice not because she claimed authority, but because she listened. She helped others through illness, grief, and abandonment, never offering false hope, only honesty and presence. She knew now that being left alone had not been a punishment. It had been an invitation. Her story was sometimes retold incorrectly, turned into a dramatic legend. Some said she was cured by miracle herbs. Others claimed she had been pretending to be sick all along. Anna never corrected them. Truth did not need defending. Those who needed inspiration found it anyway. Those who needed excuses would find those too. On the anniversary of the day her husband returned and left again, Anna walked to the edge of the forest. She stood where his car had once disappeared and felt gratitude, not for the betrayal, but for the strength it uncovered. "I'm still here," she whispered, not to him, but to herself. The words felt solid, unquestionable. Life did not become perfect, it became real. And for Anna, that was more than enough.